Hello there everyone, and welcome back to yet another beautiful video. My entire being, for most part of my life, has been fashion. The creation, the destruction, acquiring, and wearing of. All of it fashion. Behind me, I have a selection of a few of my favorite pieces right now. And if any of you viewers are similar to me, you would automatically be looking for some sort of pattern that would connect each of these pieces. I will tell you what that pattern is. Each and every one of these has been repaired or mended by me. Not only are they worn by me, but now I am physically a part of these pieces of clothing. And they have been now collaborated with the designer that originally made them. And because of that, I love each and every one of these pieces. Today I wish to push you to fix and mend your own clothing. I will show you simple ways of fixing different problems within your clothing and a few other things as well. Finally, I want the barrier of entry to fix your own clothing to be as close to zero as possible. Thus, I have spent my own time and money and have purchased bulk needles and spools of thread, and anyone who fills out the form that I have put down below will be shipped one of each for free. I make no money from this channel, even after 5 years and over about 100 videos of uploading. And that is what I want to push forward, to emphasize how much I truly want you all to start fixing your own clothing. I am giving you my own goodwill to start it yourself. Art break. About 2 videos ago and a few months back, I was showing off some of my drawings that I did. And in passing, I mentioned how I wanted them to eventually be turned into paintings. And I kept my word on that, so let's take a look at a few of them. It's interesting because normally I greatly enjoy going into almost too much detail with my artwork, and at first I wasn't even going to put a voiceover for this section. However, I still feel like it needed it just to help with retention of the viewers. Of course, I notate a little marker down in the bottom right corner for how long this segment is, but I do not feel like I need to say anything about these pieces. Definitely nothing along the lines of how I would normally explain my art. Each of these were drawings of my life around me, stuff and objects and things and emotions and feelings and songs that I had around me while I was in my last few months in New York. And yeah, I feel like that's all that needs to be said. It's a summary of my emotions, and I'm very glad that I was able to exercise this sort of curation afterwards of putting them together and deciding how I would differently change and alter the photos, but the canvas itself, to give a greater impact to the message of each piece that I was trying to draw. A lot of them were practices, and that's why, once again, I don't want to delve or put too much thought into it. Sometimes it's great to create just to create, and I am quite happy with the look of these pieces, size-wise, uniformity, the color variation, especially this piece that I'm putting up right now, if this is lined up correctly, with the red stripes in multiple variations of media, format, and width. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these in maybe a lighter light. I posted these online, and I purposely chose a much darker setting. I like to make it purposely hard for the viewer to understand work at times, especially with something like this, like I was saying. And this is just an opportunity to see them in a bit more clarity. Step 1. The needle. Start by cutting the end of your string. I like doing this to make sure it is easy as possible to then thread it through the needle. Step 1B. Gently hold the string a few centimeters back and lightly push it through the needle. (1C). Once through the needle, tie 2 to 3 times at the end of the string so it holds onto the needle, especially when used with thicker fabric. Step 2. To fix. Step 2A. The button. Get out your button, the garment you wish to fix, and your strung needle. Thread the needle through the bottom side of the garment, at the same area you wish to place the button. Thread it through the button itself, and repeat. Of course, a quick side note for fixing your items, there are endless ways that clothing can succumb to the devil of time. So, I chose 3 examples I will find most commonly on the clothing I wear. Of course, the bun being number 1. After stringing through enough times that there is a visible bulge over the button, you will proceed to the next step. Step 2A2, securing the button. Once thoroughly attached, start the process of threading the button again. However, stop before the needle returns to the bottom end of the garment, wrap around counterclockwise, and pull tight. Thread through the fabric once more, and tie it off, finishing by cutting the string. I would also like to note that there are endless ways of fixing different items of clothing, and these are just the ways that I do it. If you find a way that works or suits you better, definitely feel free to do that. And we're done with the button.
Music Showcase time. Their first EP coming out on the 30th of May.
Step 2B, the edge. Once more, we are going to grab our string and our threaded needle as well as the garment we want to fix. Here, I'm just going to be using the same scrap fabric, however, I'm using the edge of it. The application for this would be any edge of a clothing, whether you are trying to fix a bit of a neckline, a bit of a sleeve, even the hem bottom of a pant. This is going to work for that. Now, what I do want to make clear is I am using a pretty rudimentary version of this. As you see, I am simply just wrapping it around and pushing it through the other side, creating a very rustic effect, which I personally like. However, there are a plethora of ways to do it, and as you see in this image here, even though it's crocheting, there are endless ways that you are able to hand stitch an edge, and there are so many great resources you can find for it as well. I really just want to push forward that there are extraordinarily simple ways of doing this as well, and you'll see as it builds up, it still looks good and it does its job. It closes that edge, and it creates the effect of a serger almost by hand, minus the cutting aspect.
Not only does it seem as if we live in the most turbulent of all times, we are exposed to the realities of reality constantly. However, we are human, and when faced with adversity, never once have we not persevered. Morale is a gift to our minds in times like these. To ensure our hope of our future's achievement can give great morale. And if you have ever experienced the feeling you felt after buying clothing that you have wanted for a while, fixing and mending your own clothes is infinitely more rewarding. We not only need each other right now more than ever, we need to ensure that we, the individual, are proud. Start small, start slow. But for the sake of all, just start. Thank you very much.
Step 2C, the hole. Finally, we are going to look at how to repair a hole in clothing. And I feel like the best visual representation for this is imagining a grid that you are going to place over wherever the hole is. So once more, starting through the bottom side of the fabric, you are going to go horizontally and then vertically, or as you see a little bit later in the footage, I just start switching it up in the end to give it more of once again, a rustic look or a wabi-sabi-esque appearance. But really, the main takeaway here is the imagining of that grid-like formation. Another thing I'm going to point out is once I cut the fabric at the very end, I tie it separately. And you can see me doing this here with a double knot at each end. However, if you also noticed on the previous ones, I tied the ends together. These are two different ways of finishing it off, and technically the tying of each end separately is a much more sophisticated, elegant way of doing it, but I really find it depends on how far apart the start and the end thread are.
Well, we've made it to the end of the video, and I just want to thank anyone who has watched this at all, as much as possible. And I really, really do hope that you took something away from this, whether that is a motivation, an idea. Maybe you enjoyed Dipper's music, and he's dropping that album/EP very soon. He is a dear friend of mine, and so damn talented. Yeah, thank you as always. And if you are interested in receiving a needle and thread, I will be creating, I think as I mentioned earlier, a Google survey that I'm going to put in the description. And to keep it so there's safety and confidentiality, send me your Instagram on that, and from there I'll contact you and we can work out shipping. Of course, I don't want any data leaks or anything. But, as always, I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed this video. Have an amazing day.